The World Cup is the most watched sporting event on Earth. And if you know how to read it, it's also the most comprehensive map where slavery and colonialism actually went. Have you realized that there's no black players on the Argentinian team? Well, there's a reason for that. Take a look at France. 21 of their 26 players are of African descent. England, 15, the Netherlands, 14, Belgium and Germany, 9 each. 12 of America's 26 players are black, the product of one of the most successful settler colonial projects to enslave black people. Brazil's entire starting lineup descends from the 4.9 million Africans who were enslaved and brought to that country, the largest destination of the entire transatlantic slave trade. Haiti was at the World Cup, a nation whose people were forced to pay France reparations for their own freedom for 122 years. And Curacao, an island of 150,000 people, qualified for the first time in history. That island was a regional hub of the Dutch Atlantic slave trade. Most of their squad grew up in the Netherlands, the colonizing country, because that's where the opportunity was. That's not diversity, it's displacement on a pitch. Every team tells you which empire moved which people and where they ended up. You can reverse engineer the entire history of Western colonialism just from the squad list. But then there's Argentina. Argentina doesn't have a single black player on their squad. People treat that like it's a coincidence, and it's not. It's the outcome of a deliberate government-executed program to erase black people from the nation. In 1800, black people were more than 1/3 of Argentina's population, 69,000 people out of 187,000. In less than a century, that number was so decimated that by 1875, the Argentine government didn't even bother counting African descendants in the national census. Think about how intentional that has to be. President Domingo Faustino Sarmiento, who served from 1868 to 1874, was a fervent white supremacist who openly wrote about his desire to eliminate black people from Argentina. He segregated black communities from white ones, denied them infrastructure and healthcare, and sent them to die on the front lines of military campaigns. He imprisoned them on fabricated charges, he executed them. While he was doing all of that, Argentina's 1853 constitution was actively recruiting white European immigrants from Italy and Spain to replace them. Erase black people, import white ones, call yourself a European nation in South America. That was the architecture of what Argentina was trying to do. And what makes it more sinister is they stole the culture before they buried and killed black people. Shocker, right? Tango, the dance that we all know from Dancing with the Stars, which is Argentina's most celebrated export, comes from black people. The thing that they sell to the world as the soul of their identity was created by enslaved Africans. The word tango itself comes from the gathering places where black Argentines met and danced. The candombe, the African drum tradition brought over through the slave trade, is the rhythmic foundation of the entire genre. Black composers wrote the first tangos, black musicians built the form, and then once it became popular, once Paris fell in love with it, Argentina's ruling class stripped it of its black origins, sanitized it for high society ballrooms, and declared it a symbol of European sophistication. They killed the people, they kept the music, then they claimed the music was never black. A former president of Argentina, Carlos Menem, once said publicly, "In Argentina, blacks do not exist. That is a Brazilian problem." A sitting head of state said that out loud. So when you look at the World Cup and you see Argentina is the only squad out of 48 with no black players, understand what you are actually seeing. Every other team is evidence of what colonialism did. It moved black people around the world through slavery and forced migration, and their descendants now play football for the nations that displaced them. Argentina is evidence of what colonialism intended. The complete removal of black people from the national story. The all-white squad isn't an anomaly, it's the goal. It's what every other colonizing nation wished they could do as cleanly. They built their entire national identity, their pride, their exceptionalism, their whole we're the Europeans of South America mythology on graves. And every 4 years, they show up to the World Cup and play like none of it ever happened. Ask the question as to why there's no black players on Argentina's team, even though they're a settler colony in the Americas. Racism. Anti-black racism. Stay black, stay blessed.
Argentina voted against making the slave trade the gravest crime in history. Who would have known? Me. I would have known. Roll the tapes. Did Argentina unalive all their black citizens? The overwhelming majority, yes. Talked about Argentina and how they forced Afro-Latinos to join wars, and then they used them as shields, basically. Completely opened this really racist restaurant called Big N-Word Burgers. Argentina saying they would rather be European than Latino. Oh, we're all so surprised. The elites in Argentina wanted to erase the African influence in Tango.
Lover of football, and every time I watch the World Cup, I ask myself those fundamental questions. Where are the black players in the Argentine squad? You see, life itself is a constant reminder of the injustice that were done to certain ethnic groups and nationalities. And this is not intended to stir up racial profiling, but when you look at the World Cup and look at the stage, you see the effect of colonialism, the effect of slavery across the globe. How technically the World Cup is actually won by people who were enslaved and made nationalities, nationals of those countries, especially like the French team. And even today, we still have modern slavery going on. We have neo-colonialism going on. We have independence of flag, but not independence of policies and decisions and lifestyle, because our government, our educational system, our economy is still externally influenced and manipulated by these dominant players on the global stage. If you are coming across my YouTube channel, you're welcome. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification button for new updates when we talk about them. And so, if you're not a subscriber, thank you for subscribing and for what you do. You are the reason why we do what we do. And so, when you see this whole thing, like I was saying, all credit to the original content creator. It disheartens my heart that this is where we are as a people. And this is just my pain, this is my heart, that we as blacks, we as whatever minority groups we are as powerful as we are. We're called minority groups by people. We're defined by terms, words, languages, colors, philosophies, psychologies of men. But in our individuality and our uniqueness, we are strong as a people, we are resilient. And I just want to know what your thoughts, your opinions are. Let the conversation begin in the comment section. See you on my next video.